Good Thursday morning, everybody. It's Grace, and I've been thinking this morning about what actually led me to get on YouTube, and where I started, like as a child. When I was a child, I'm 53, so when I was a child, we didn't have internet, of course. But so I'm going to start there. When I was a child, like 10 years old, I went to see one of my cousins, and she was actually my dad's cousin, but because of their age difference, we called them cousin, and their ages were between ours and his, and me and my siblings and my dad's. So she was, older, but she lived way out in the country, and I lived in a town. It wasn't really small. It was a town where, like, everybody knew one another kind of thing, or you knew somebody who knew somebody, that kind. But, and I was 10 years old, and she wanted to have a pen pal, and so she started writing me letters, and we started exchanging letters. We didn't live anywhere close to one another. We both lived in Texas, but not close. And around the same time, I went to a function for church when I was a child. We used to go to church conventions, and they were like, you go sleep in big barns. I'm talking huge, huge barns, and they made them into places where people could sleep and everything. And I was 10 years old, and there was another 10-year-old girl there, and we decided we'd write letters to one another too. So that was pen paling kind of thing. But around the time I was a teenager, one of my friends had seen something in a magazine, a teen magazine, and it was about pen pals from across the world and everything. So she said, let's do that. So we did that. We actually went, we were, I guess, I don't know, we were in high school, but we got a post office box, the two of us, and I had a car, so we would go at lunch, and we were allowed back then to leave for lunch. And we'd go for lunch, and we'd go check our mail and go get something to eat and stuff like that. We'd have letters from our pen pals, and that carried on for me, really. I don't know about her, but into my 20s, because like I said, we didn't have internet and stuff like that. But around my mid 20s, I think is when there was a fax system or something, and fax and box or something like that. But I had my first computer when I was 19, so back in 82, I think it was. Yeah. So I went from there to, then once we, the universities had computers where you could get on them and actually chat with people from different states and stuff and everything like that. I did then had a woman that was also going to school, but in a different state, and we became pen pals. And even though we could do it over the computer, we did, and we still know one another to this day. And then it became something called friendship books. And the friendship books were things that they just passed around. Like I would mail her one, and she'd sign it, and my address would be on it, and she'd sign it, and she'd send somebody else or something like that. And they had deco books and all these other different kinds. In fact, I just got one from somebody I've known for years a couple of days ago. So that was that. Way too long if I could go through everything. But from that same woman, I joined a listserv, and it was for women writers and artists. And from there, I had also found all kinds of, they called them listservs back then. And it was basically what you find these days is Facebook groups. It was the same kind of thing, but there was no Facebook back then. In fact, there wasn't hardly anything, and I was one of the people that connected my computer to other people's somebody else's computer, and so on, before the World Wide Web and what we know today. And yes, that's my dog making as much noise as possible. Nothing unusual. So, and then there were other things. Prodigy, if anybody remembers Prodigy. And we used to telnet into things. It was a lot. There was IRC. I don't know if IRC still exists. And it went on and on. But eventually, I found something about online journals. And let me get my dogs there. Okay, not much that I'm doing is ever going to go just flow right, because my dogs sit there in front of me or beside me, and they, either side, and they just make so much noise. It's like they have to be, in the video, they have to make the noise. Oh, and it's so distracting because some of the stuff that they do is pretty funny. It really is. So if you hear me laughing and you're like, why am I giggling? It's because they're sitting right in front of me doing whatever. But anyways, from there, eventually, I think mainly in the 90s, I found online journals. That's what they call them, journals. And these were pretty elaborate, especially for the time. They people made their own little websites, and they did like a diary, but they called it a journal. And the graphics and everything, pictures. Back then it was kind of rare. And then up cropped social media kind of thing. We didn't call it social media back then, but they were online diary sites. And they could have like 500,000 subscribers, people writing their diaries online. And it was all you did was just type it in, and you could choose the backgrounds, you could choose pictures, whatever, like have a heading or whatever, and name your diary and go from there and just write it. But it was not a blog. It wasn't blog style. Each day, whenever you felt like it, you could write an entry. So, that was fun. And, of course, you could read people's diaries and comment like you do on a YouTube video. You watch their video and then you comment. It was the same kind of thing. And they, of course, you could subscribe. They could subscribe. They call them favorites. And and I was on one of them from 1999 until it went down. I don't know, it was a few years ago. I don't remember how many years ago. So, and it, you develop kind of friendships and everything, but it was always usually mainly younger people, and the older I got, the less people, around my age. Then, of course, in the meanwhile, there were blogs that came up. People were doing blogs, and they were, just a different style, the way that the entries came out. And so, but all these, really what I was interested in was how the people live. I grew up in a town, like I said, and after that I moved to just big city after big city, sometimes towns, but mainly cities, and you just didn't get to know people still in the cities, so you had to know how they live, and I missed that when I was young. We knew, how other people live, but not outside of that town kind of thing. So anyway, that led me to, doing the, the diary, and then they switched the site, and I did one on a different site. But something, it just didn't feel enough. Okay, now I've mentioned before how I wound up on YouTube was basically, I don't know which one happened first, that I was watching extreme couponing. I ran across it on Netflix, and so I looked on YouTube to see if they had any on it, and also I had bought some antiques, and I wanted to see if somebody had it on YouTube, how much they cost, if you sold them or whatever, and found communities. And this is the way I found the communities. But little did I know, there were a whole lot of communities, and I had kind of typecast myself in my original one, which wasn't, like I've said before, wasn't really what I wanted to do. But now I think I do know kind of what I want to do, because on those online diaries, the diary time, that was like a lot of years. Anytime I did something like, what would you do? We were saying what would you do before that TV show, but what would you do in this situation? What would you think? What would you say? How would you react? That kind of thing. When I would write diary entries about that, people loved it, because they got to see, hey, this is a situation, and hey, I can talk about what I would do if I experienced it, something like that. So I think that's what I want to continue doing, something like this. Of course, I'll add in different things here and there. But anyway, that's enough for this, because it's getting long, and I'm going to try to keep them short, at least at first, and see how it goes. But I'll talk to y'all later. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing these today. I want to mention this. If you want to make some elderly people happy, buy some of these. You can get them in a set like 8. This one was $8 for $1 at Dollar Tree. And just drop them off at your local senior living community, nursing home, whatever it is. And believe me, they love them. And just give them to the activity director, and she'll know who she or he, usually she, will know who to give them to. So anyway, some people choke pick them kind of thing. So they won't give them to those. So anyway, that's enough for now, and I'll talk to y'all later.